If you're looking to scale your business and learn from the best life and health insurance agents in the industry, you're in the right place. This is your host, Jason Hoffman, and you're listening to the Agents on the Move podcast, where we profile producers who are consistently at the forefront of the industry in production and management expertise. Pound for pound, the best insurance salesperson I've ever seen in person. Keith Gleason has been in the insurance business for 15 years. He has broken sales records as a producer and has grown a large, successful agency. On this episode, Keith gives us his keys to success for maintaining a long, successful career in the insurance business. So, Keith, take us back to 2006. Where were you and what were you doing?
2006, I was recently in a complete change of occupation where I actually asked for a severance. I was in corporate America for 12 years and I had a great job, great income, benefits, great network of people. And I went to work one day and the company was bought out by a bigger bank. And I went from a name and a face and a reputation to employee number 300,001. So I went to college at a small school because I wanted, the closeness, the smallness of it. I was never wanting to be part of a big university, and I did not want to be part of a huge company. And I bank with that bank still today. It's, I own stock in that company, but I did not want to be employee number 300,001. So I started looking around for options. And I was going to go back to school and get my master's. I was going to go back to my alma mater and be maybe in the development office because I had some experience in fundraising and asking for money because at the bank I was in collections and managed that area. So I was good with people and good at asking for money. And I was from that school. My wife was from that school. So I figured it would be a good fit. But, sometimes when you try too hard to fit something in for a goal and it doesn't happen, you just got to let it flow. And unbeknownst to me, Bruce Libby, who hired you as well, moved into my hometown and we had rekindled we hadn't seen each other in 10 years. And I said, hey, what are you doing? So he and Heidi came over, Heather and I, and Heidi and Bruce, we went through the options. I made a T-chart, why to stay at the bank and why to leave. And the reasons to leave, to be self-employed, the list was 3 times as long as why stay at this bank. And so Heather and I jumped ship. I went from a 6-figure salary to 0 income on May 1st, 2006.
Nice. When did you get to the point where you felt like you could be successful in this?
I had great support. I had a great trainer. I had determination. I had to succeed. So it wasn't like there was an option. We had 3 kids at the time and there was no other source of income. So I had to produce. And I found that I loved it because I was my own boss. And I could create my own schedule and make my own phone calls and do it the way I wanted to do it. And it was my second appointment that I went on where I made a sale. I didn't make the first appointment sale. The second one was on a Saturday, and I'll never forget it. The guy told me, we're not buying today. He sold beef jerky in a vending machines throughout Maine. That was his self-employment because we serve the self-employed. And I said to him with confidence, if you want it, let's do it. If you don't want it, I could leave. And he bought it. And it was, I had no training on it really. I didn't know what to say, but it was kind of like, you got nothing to lose. And he bought it. And my drive back to the house, making my first sale ever, was such an awesome feeling. It was like, scoring a goal or hitting a double in baseball or something. It was just an awesome feeling. And I knew right then and there that this was going to be a fun ride.
Yeah. So sales can be a bit of a roller coaster. So did you have any low points, especially in the first couple of years? What was that like?
Yes. I train a lot of agents and I tell them never get too high and never get too low. You will have a bad day. You'll have a bad week, but you'll never have a bad month as long as you're active and positive and push through the tough times. And I'll never forget it. Heather was pregnant with the twins. I left the house at 4:30 in the morning to get to Caribou, Maine, which is a 4-hour drive. So I got there at 8:30 for the appointment, 4 hours. And she told me, I want to think about it. I can't make the decision without my husband. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I drove 4 hours so I can hang out and I'll wait for him. And she's like, no, he's on a weekend trip. And I said, well, you told me you couldn't sleep because you had no insurance. You were a referral from the friend I helped out. Like, let's go over, is it price or is it product? Is it lack of, coverage? What is it? And she said, I'm not doing this. And I drove back 4 hours, silence, like not even the radio on. Just the hum of the road, silence. 4 hours to get there, 2 hours to present, 4 hours back. I had to pay for my own gas, right? And I was thinking, this sucks.
So those are small things that we all go through. And now that you've been doing this, what, 15 years?
15 years. I can't believe it, right?
Yeah. If you had to pick one lowest point, what do you think that would be?
That would be, of course, that was like the lowest point in a day, working all day and making nothing and actually costing me money. But probably the lowest point was as a TVP, when I came out of the field to be a territory vice president to run the territory. And, my style or my approach or my training or something was not clicking with my team. And to me, it just seemed so simple. Right. I mean, and I would give examples of, Jason Hoffman didn't know anything when he came on board, and I showed him 3 appointments and I showed him how to do it, make phone, and look at Jason now. It was not clicking. And I remember meeting with Mark Smith in Washington, D.C. And he said, sometimes you got to go 2 steps back to move forward. And I just stuck with it. And I don't know if it was just that conversation, but within a couple months, that we started Medicare, like really selling Medicare. And that's what really clicked for the profitability of the territory and the agents working and having, back end accounts where they're getting a commission from residual income. And then from there, the territory just really exploded with success and profitability. And I owe it to, a mentor.
Was there anything you changed about your training other than focusing on other products?
There was nothing specific that I changed in my delivery. It was more like how I've always done anything in life, which is never quit and, be persistent and just get through it. One of my favorite documentary movies is The Founder, which is the story of Ray Kroc, who was a struggling salesman. He had the Fold a Nook. He had all these products and gadgets, and his friends at the country club were making fun of him because he was always trying to sell something. And he was selling a 6 multi-mixer shake machine, and he lugged that thing around. And you've seen it, right?
Yeah, it's an awesome movie. Book too.
Yeah, and so he was in the hotel room, which you and I have been there before, where you're on the road, for a long trip. I don't know about you, but I would, if I drove 4 hours, sometimes I'd get a hotel and stay up there for 2 days. And he was listening to a record of motivation. And I don't know who the motivational speaker was, but he said, your education isn't the reason for your success. The people isn't the reason for your success. It is determination and persistence that will beat everything. And that's just me. I've got, a good education, but it's not Harvard. I've got a great family name, but it's not Rockefeller. I've got average skills, but I have an unbelievably dedicated, focused, laser-focused determination to win. And that's how I've succeeded in anything I've done, whether it be sports or marriage or the family, parenting, training, selling, doing fundraisers. It is just activity, energy, and persistence.
Where do you think it comes from?
My ability to talk to people and be energetic really comes from my parents. Without a doubt, my dad could start up a conversation with a lamppost, and my mom could talk a starving dog off a meat wagon. But as far as the persistence and determination, I never really saw that, or no one ever sat down and said, this is, you need to drive through. It was just something, I'm one of 5 kids, and God gave me the ability to just be competitive and never quit. I don't know where it comes from. Obviously, it comes from my parents or God or all 3, but I'm so glad I have it.
Yeah, it's a good attribute. My dad always told me either you have a fire in your belly or you don't.
Correct. I tell people, listen, I can teach you pretty much everything: how to close, how to make phone calls, how to present the product, positioning statement, so on and so forth. But I can't teach you 3 things. I can't teach you work ethic. You either have work ethic or you don't. I can't teach you ethics. You're either an ethical person or you're not. And I can't teach you to like others. Those are the 3 things you need here. You need work ethic, you need ethics, and you need personality, the genuine ability to like people and talk to people, because this is a people business. So if I have someone that has those three attributes, they will be successful. I made a statement the other day to my team. I said, in my 15 years here, I've never seen someone fail. I've seen someone quit, but I've never seen in 15 years here someone fail. It's because they quit.
Are there things that you still kind of struggle with today, or things that you feel you're always fighting through?
Getting people to read their emails and watch the Loom tutorials. I have these 2-minute how-to tutorials. I love the technology nowadays. And I make it a mission of mine. And it's on my wall to make a Loom video every day. So it's 2 minutes, which is hard for me to do, but I keep it to 2 minutes because I know people's attention spans aren't good. And so it would be how to enter a referral. So I'll record myself on the resource center entering in a referral. How to figure out underwriting, what rate classification on a life policy. So I go to the life center and I do the height and weight and driving history and cholesterol. So I'll do these videos and I'll send them out and I'll be thinking like, man, this is like, can you imagine if you and I had this? And I'll look at it a week later and 6 people out of 36 watched it. And I'm thinking, what?
Can't make the horse drink.
Exactly. But you know what, though? I don't quit. With a success ratio of that, you'd think, why invest the time? You could be making phone calls with clients. But if one person is watching it and I can make a difference to that one person, that I'm not going to quit.
Yeah, it's going to click for somebody.
Exactly.
So if you had to pick one thing over 15 years, what would you say would have been your best idea that really helped transform your business?
Great question. Without any hesitation, it is remote selling. So 2013 or 14, I had convinced Mark Smith that a TVP should sell, not only to help with supplement income, right? Because when you're an employee, you have cap on how much you can make, but more importantly, you're a better trainer, you're a better TVP if you know how to open up Quote Connect and run a life quote. So he let me sell and other TVPs sell beginning 2013. So I'm in North Carolina and I got a lot of clients in Maine. I can't drive there. So I learned this thing called join.me and I started doing screen sharing. And of course, I've got my phone and I've got the unbelievable technology that we have here. And I found that the customers loved it because they didn't have to clean their kitchen for me to get there. They didn't have to put the dog in the bedroom. And you've been on appointments where that's all you hear is the dog barking. And all the dog wants to do is say hi to you. But you're this strange voice and it's distracting. And, of course, you got people that, are embarrassed by their house and clutter and all that. That removes everything. The screen sharing removes all of that. The other thing is I'll have to book an appointment back in the day. I'll say, okay, I'll see you Thursday at 3:00. Now I say, okay, Jason, do you have a laptop? And we do the appointment on demand right there. And if there's a no-show, I'll just go right back to making phone calls. There's no driving. So since 2013, I've been selling over the phone and doing it compliantly. And the customer experience and the agent experience and the efficiency, because I couldn't be a TVP and handle the budget and the responsibilities and be out there driving 2 hours per appointment. So when the company started live transfers, which is another awesome spoke in the wheel of activity, North Carolina is 10 million people. People are moving here left and right. And we just didn't have enough agents to handle the volume. And so the company asked me and all the other TVPs to fly to Texas and talk about 2014, how are you going to hit your numbers? So I came up with the idea of there's no way I can handle all this volume if I have agents driving to appointments. I need to test a team selling over the phone and teach them the process that I have, which I know works. So Mark Smith supported it. There was another SVP that said it was the worst idea she had ever seen. And guess where we are now? So COVID is awful. It's killed businesses. It's killed people. But plexiglass businesses and masks and sanitation and insurance agents have actually benefited from, in an odd way. It's odd to say that, but this has transformed our business and efficiency. And the process I was already doing it for 4 or 5 years, and then boom, this hits. And so I train agents 3 times a week, 8 a.m. I call it the money call, and we talk in Zoom, and we have people from Maine all the way down to Florida. I even have an agent in Utah. And there is no territory, as far as I'm concerned, anymore.
Yeah, it makes you kind of look back and shake your head at what we used to do.
Right.
Crazy.
But when you say you have a good idea, listen, I had Mark Smith is, one of the greatest leaders I've ever had. And he said, go for it, Keith. But in corporate, you can, and this isn't a knock on the company. I've been part of many corporations from a work perspective or as a customer, and you're less entrepreneurial when you have, for whatever reason, when you have that corporate hat on. But when you have your own hat on, you have nobody to ask, can I do this? As long as it's legal and ethical, you can do it.
So what do you think your breakthrough moment was as a manager, as a leader?
So I became a leader, I think it was 2.5, 3 years into my career here. I was an agent, and then, of course, I stayed an agent, but also added the sales leader responsibility. And when Steve Hayden, great friend, great mentor, you worked under him as well. He believed in Bruce and me and said, in Maine, it's hard to grow because there's only 1.2 million people. We're having some challenges in another office. If you want to go there, you can. And so Bruce and I would swap off weeks. I would get up at 3 a.m. to get to your 9 o'clock meeting to train the office. And I used to kind of smirk inside when someone would say, geez, I can't make it at 9 o'clock. Can we move the appointment or training to 10, which I never do, because if you move it to 10, then there's someone that's going to need it, at 11. So I'd get up at 3 a.m, get to Boston, get on a plane on my dime, fly to Philly, get in a rental car that I paid for because I was an entrepreneur, self-employed, get to the office to train people like you. And it's people like you and Shannon and Stacy and, some of the people here in North Carolina, Kent Pike and, others, Kathy Edwards and Sean Van Horn on my team now. It's them succeeding that gives me that feeling of I'm making a difference in someone's life, not just the customer. You and I have had a lot of trips across stage. I don't want to do that anymore. I want my agents to have that success and accolades. It's fun, but certainly it's challenging when you have people that have the ability, they have talent, and they're just not willing to work or get through that tough week.
What are some of the things that you think make an effective leader?
We had coaches that would run laps with us. So a leader, in my opinion, that does what they're asking you to do, without a doubt, is number one, integrity, loyalty, and having your back. So in all my sports teams and work and in the community, when I felt someone had my back, I could move mountains. So I try to do that with my team. I gave someone $200 just the other day in cash. Like I said, this isn't a loan. Don't pay me back. And, I said, I got your back. I'm not going to let you fail. And this agent's on every Zoom call, and he is trying, and he will succeed. In this business, it can be very tough that some people can make phone calls and have immediate success, and others do the exact same thing and experience failure. And those are tough times for that agent. But when a leader has your back and they're willing to do the the running with you, or in the field with you, or in the battlefield with you, that just lifts others. It lifts me. And a lot of people respond, I believe.
You won't ask somebody to do something you won't do yourself.
Never. No. And that's why, again, back to being a personal producer and a sales leader, of course, you got to sell. But as a TVP, that is so important, because nobody can tell me, Keith, you don't know what you're talking about. Because I get hung up on the same way. I get the same life transfers, someone looking for their dentures, and that's $32, right? It's like, what? So anyone that says these leads suck, I pull out the Johnny Pineda quote. It's not a lead issue. It's a skill issue.
I always think of the Glenn Ross.
Yeah. The leads are weak.
Yeah.
You're weak.
So you have a genie in the bottle. You get one do-over in your business career. What would it be, and would you take it?
So one do-over, I would say getting into Medicare. I keep pushing that off. I've got my Medicare license. I've sold maybe 6, and they're still on the books, like 10 years later. And I know Medicare is the most profitable product. but I keep coming up with excuses. I got to train my agents, which I do. Like I was going to focus on my AHIP as soon as open enrollment was over. And what happens? A new reopen enrollment. So I'm like, do I sit in my office and do Medicare training, or do I go make money and help the territory make sales? And so I am the worst. I suck at getting Medicare ready.
I mean, it's a hurdle. It is a lot of coursework, but once you get through it, it definitely gets easier.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I've trained agents and like, listen, you got to get into Medicare, but I'm the one not doing Medicare, but I'm telling them to do it. But I've done it before. So it's not like I'm asking them to do something I've never done.
So what do you think the biggest surprise is that you've had in the last few months?
I would say the ability during open enrollment, when one would think you've got to be in your office, in your home state, servicing clients and training. I took my wife and 5 kids to Costa Rica for a month, the entire month of December. And I'm getting chills just thinking about what we did. And that was a big surprise that nothing was left undone. Being out of the country during open enrollment and still being able to keep the production up in my Zoom trainings. I hired 5 people. One of them, I was in the pool on FaceTime. The guy's name is Ray Hauser, and he made his second or third sale just the other day. And I hired him because he's just an awesome personality. I didn't even do an interview. I just said, listen, can you pass a felony background check? Yes. Do you have the license? Already got it in multiple states. I'm like, all right, let's go. I'll see you Monday. And to keep recruiting going, to keep the agents focused and trained and engaged, and to keep the production up while being on vacation for a month was like, wow, this is an awesome opportunity and place to be in a time where, and I pray for people that are struggling due to COVID. It sucks, but we've hired clients. Hey, did you lose I've hired 4 or 5 clients as agents because they lost their job. So in a time where the economy is struggling, we are helping people pick up their income and be self-employed and stay home with their kids.
Yeah. So, I mean, we talked a little bit about COVID. I mean, what are some of the ways you think it's made you better, whether it's as a person or in business?
Without a doubt, having the family home, there's silver linings in anything. And we've played chess, we've played board games, we've spent time together, quality time together. We've done Zoom Gleason family Zooms. We just did one Saturday, and we saw I guess it would be a great niece. So my nephew's daughter, and seeing her walk 3 steps from 9 states away. So COVID has brought people together. I've attended church with my sister-in-law who goes to church every Sunday, and she sent me a link and said, go to church with me today. And I'm in my garage tinkering around because I like to build things out of reclaimed wood and sort nuts and bolts. And that's just my happy place, my garage. And I'm listening to the pastor preach, and I feel connected with my sister-in-law, and I'm 9 states away.
Yeah, we've replaced a lot of the physical contact with...
Right, but I do, I mean, I knew before, but one thing for sure, I need people. I need face-to-face contact. So I went to lunch yesterday with one of my best friends and his daughter and his wife, and I was so alive. Just because I had to get out and like interact with people, but I felt so alive. And I can't imagine having a grandparent that isn't able to go outside or have family come in. It just tears at you when you see people say hi to or bye to their family members through the window. And we as humans are a social species. So there's definitely good and without a doubt bad.
So what are some of the good choices that you've made, Keith, that have made you who you are?
My wife, marrying my wife. Without a doubt, the greatest decision I've ever made.
Hopefully it was for her too, right?
Absolutely. And, like any marriage, we've gone through whatever, you're never here. I'm like, I'm trying to make money for the family so you can stay home. But, that's never, an acceptable answer.
It doesn't work.
What are you implying? I don't work? And then it just goes back and forth. But without a doubt, the best decision I ever made was marrying Heather. And we have 5 beautiful kids and amazing kids. But our family suffers the same stress and fights and arguments and slamming of doors that anybody does. Anyone that, the people on Facebook that appear to always be perfect, those usually are the ones that have the most challenges. So I like to, when I post things, I like to be real. We have a sign in my house. I make signs. One of my hand-carved signs was "Let the games begin." So when we all walk downstairs from our sleeping and we walk downstairs to enter the battlefield, the sign right there, like you slap it, "Let the games begin." And that's the way it is. We have people that come to our house just because they like to observe the realness of kids talking back to their parents.
Chaos.
Right?
Yeah. So what's given you the most satisfaction or sense of accomplishment in your career so far?
Training you and having you be first-year achiever. I know that sounds like a quote off a wall. Certainly achieving Rookie of the Year myself. I mean, yes, those are all Producer of the Year 2 years later. Those are awesome accomplishments. But when you see, I told Heather, I said, I'm having a podcast with Jason Hoffman, and Heather knows you and Courtney well. And I'm like, it's just awesome to see people like you that were younger than me, and you followed Bruce and me, and now you're married and you have 2 kids and you make way more money than I do. It's just, that's really cool. Everyone can succeed. That's the other thing is, in corporate America, there's only, one person per department that can make X number of thousands of dollars. Here at Health Markets or in any self-employment venture, there is no limit. We had 4 agents make $1 million last year. That's insane.
Yeah, it is kind of funny, being in the insurance industry, and sometimes you'll get people say, well, do you do that as your job, like full time? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Do what?
Doing insurance, whether you're in life, health, disability, whatever,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What kind of question is that?
I know. But I just nod and shake my head,
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're a very humble guy. And so I'm sure you handled that with, I do okay.
So do you have, a morning or daily routine, Keith, where you like to start your day the same way every day?
Yeah, I have a list. I'm a very visual. I need it on paper, pen and paper. I like to check things off. And that gives me every day I need, 6 wins, whether it's enter a referral, hire someone the other day from Massachusetts passed their license. So that was a win for me, to have a newbie start their career at 55 years old, make a sale, do a Loom training that, can help someone, do a Zoom training, connect with 5 people every day on my team. And, I've trained leaders where they haven't talked to their agent in 3 weeks. And I don't want to go a day without at least having them see me, hear from me, or have a Loom or a Zoom video. And our team lifts each other up. It is amazing when, so instead of me having to carry the weight of making everyone happy and not depressed with a bad appointment, I have 35 teammates that lift each other up. So I don't have to carry that weight because I'm only one person. And so we have this technology, and I'm sure you use it, Slack or WhatsApp, and they're group chats. Team Engine is another one. And we all support each other. We're like, hey, good luck today, everybody. Or someone will say, hey guys, I'm in, I need the phone number to the marketplace. So I don't have to be at my desk answering every single question because my teammates are already adding that answer.
Awesome. So what's one thing that you think few people know about you?
That I love saving things, and not just money. My parents taught me, live below your means. And, when the Amazon truck comes by every day and stops at our house, it's like, okay, we're not living below our means. But the insurance world allows us to be able to spend freely, but at the same time, you build that nest and save. But I also like to save things. I don't like throwing away things. And I am notorious for going to throw away a paper cup and pulling out the garbage can and seeing that there's a very good pair of sneakers that has a hole in it. And I'm like, someone at Goodwill would love to have those shoes. So I pull it out, I put it into the Goodwill. If Heather wants something thrown away, I'll actually take it apart and save the screws, because that screw I can use sometime in 2028. And when Heather asked me to fix something and I go and I'm like, remember you threw this away? I'm using that piece to fix the issue over here. I take pallets that people throw away and I build coffee tables out of the pallet wood. I just love rusty old things. And in my neighborhood, I'm Keith's Hardware. And people will text me, hey, they delivered mulch. I got a pallet. Do you want it? And I'll get the car back in, get the pallet, break apart and use the wood for signs or to make furniture. And so I think that would be something that you probably wouldn't expect would come from Keith Gleason.
So is there one thing that you draw inspiration from that you would recommend to other people?
Yes. So I have a few financial mentors in my life, heroes. So my dad, who provided for 5 kids and a stay-at-home wife, mom, on a $40,000 income, and left my mom when he passed enough money so my mom doesn't ever have to worry about money, and she has a second home here in North Carolina. So my dad taught me to save. Warren Buffett. I don't do a lot of reading, or any reading for that matter, but I don't read books, but I do read quotes and clips and motivational YouTube videos, so on and so forth, movies like The Founder, Pursuit of Happiness. So things from like Warren Buffett, buy stock in things that you use.
Yeah, and if you ever do read a book, his book is great, his autobiography. It's a long one, but it's worth it.
Right. So he has a lot of quotes, right? Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. And when the stock market goes down, everyone's going to sell. He's out there buying it because it's on sale. And the guy's billion dollar machine, and his daughter, or I think it's his daughter who works for him, that she's not allowed to buy a new car when he says, I need a new car. What she's instructed to buy a car that's been damaged by hail, because it's cosmetic that's been fixed. The insides weren't affected. And this is a guy that could buy the company, the entire Ford company, and every car under it. And he's out there living below his imagined means.
Yeah, he still lives in his house in Omaha, Nebraska that he purchased in the, 50s, 60s, something like that.
So I love that. And then Ron Reed, look him up, from Vermont. He was a janitor. And at 60 or 70 years old, he'd go in for coffee and he looked poor. He had a flannel shirt, probably with holes in it, shoes with holes in it. And people would buy him coffee because they thought he was poor. When he died, he left $8 million to the local hospital and the local library. And he made that wealth on a janitor's income. And then my brother-in-law and my financial advisor, Rob, my brother-in-law, we were golfing one day, and he said, this is when I was, I think, in my early 30s. He said, go home and write a check to yourself and put it somewhere safe. So I went home and wrote a check for $3 million. And of course, it was a fake check. And in the subject field, I put someday. And at that time, I was making, $100,000, let's say. And my net worth was maybe $200,000. And I'm writing a check for $3 million. And Heather and I are, as long as we keep the same simple living that we have and continue to protect what we have, that's going to be a check we can cash. So having mentors like that, that's why I give back, because so many people have been giving to me. My philosophy on this whole war of left versus right and this race versus that race, I don't care about anybody other than, do you treat me with respect? Do you contribute to your society more than you take from it? The whole world would be so much better if we just evaluated people by, do you give more than you take? And we all know those friends that they only call you when they need something. And I'll call people and just say, hey, listen, I just want to call and say hi, because I don't want to be that guy that says, hey, I need, this or that.
Yeah. Our immediate response is, what do you want? What could this guy want?
Absolutely. So I go out of my way to give because people have given to me, and I call it my community service. So anybody in the company that says, hey, will you speak to my team? I'll give an hour. I'll give you whatever you want. Rick Yale called me before he started with the company. He called me because I think Arnie Aloff said, hey, call this guy Keith Gleason. I spent an hour with Rick Yale, and he hadn't even signed on yet. He was considering signing on. And think of how much you could make in an hour, Jason, booking appointments or making phone calls. I could have done that, but Bill Kohler was generous to me when I had questions, so I want to give back. What do they call it? Giver's gain?
It's the truth. Hey, Keith, all the times, when I've listened to you train and you thought nobody was benefiting from it, it helped me tremendously. And 10 years ago, I modeled my whole business after what you taught me, and it made a huge difference. So I want to thank you for that.
I'm getting chills just thinking of that. And you and I have cashed a lot of big checks. And I always say to people, when you get a big check, you can't get the tingle down your spine when you get a big check, right? But when you help someone, it's what is it called? A physiological inner touches your soul type thing that you can't say, I want to chill down my spine right now. I can move my finger, but I can't have a chill down my spine unless it happens to me. And when I hear you say that, you help model, my career, that's like, I'm getting a chill just thinking of that. And that's worth more than a $5,000 bonus, because the $5,000 bonus is going to be spent because Amazon, and I bought Amazon, by the way, at $989 a share because of Warren Buffett. This was 3.5 years ago. I'm driving and an Amazon truck drives by, and an Amazon truck drives this way. And I had recently sold some Bank of America stock, and I called my financial advisor, Ken Gardner. I said, I want to buy Amazon. It was $989 a share, and it's what, $3,100. So thank you, Warren Buffett, and thank you, Amazon. So
yeah, I don't know. It might only go up from here. The only thing that can slow Amazon down is probably the government.
Correct. When I realized the big deal that Amazon is when we had our tuxedo event, when we vested, what was the vesting program called? The Dream Team. So I had my tuxedo from our wedding. And of course, I'm 15 pounds heavier. So the button, was a little stretched. And so I got into my tuxedo, but I needed the shoes. I live in Wake Forest, Raleigh. It's a metropolitan city. Like there's men's clothing places everywhere. So I went to this men's clothing place. I said, I need a size 7. And he's like, oh, we don't have that in 7. He's like, but what we can do is we can get a 7 and you can rent it. So while he was trying to find the size 7 tuxedo shoe that I could rent, I went on to Amazon and bought 2 pair of really nice tuxedo shoes. And they were there the next day. And then I shipped back the ones that didn't fit at no charge. And I said, okay, this Amazon thing is going to be around for a while.
Hey, Keith, thanks for coming on and sharing with us and joining us today, man. It's always great to talk to you. It's always good, man.
Likewise, buddy. I love you're giving right now. The fact that you take time to do these for others, and hopefully I said something that might affect someone's life, and I owe you for that. So thanks, buddy. Say hi to Courtney.
Will do.
See ya.
Everyone, thank you for listening to the latest episode of the Agents on the Move podcast. You can subscribe to the show wherever you listen to your podcast. If you thought the content was beneficial to you, please subscribe to the show, write a review if you'd like. We look forward to joining you again. Thanks.